One step forward and nothing looks different. The road is the same. The houses are the same. The trees do not move. Yet everything changes. The money in your pocket suddenly matters differently. The police who protect you switch uniforms without warning. The laws that control your life flip silently, invisibly. There is no gate, no fence, no warning sign screaming danger. Just a quiet road where an invisible line cuts through normal life. People cross it every day without noticing. Children walk near it without understanding it. Homes sit beside it like it does not exist, but it does. This line can decide who you are, what you can do, and what trouble can find you in an instant. Some have been stopped, questioned, or even detained, all because they stepped a few inches too far. And the most unsettling part? Nothing in the real world tells you where it begins or where it ends. This road does not just cut across land. It runs through an entire town, a quiet, ordinary place where life feels slow and familiar, until you realize every step carries invisible weight. Streets here do not fully belong to one country. Sidewalks cross legal systems without warning. A house can sit in one nation while its driveway touches another. Neighbors chat over fences, yet the law treats them like strangers. No walls, no guards, no signs tell anyone this is not ordinary. People mow their lawns, walk their dogs, wave at each other like anywhere else. But beneath this calm, two sets of rules rule at once. What is legal on one side can land you in trouble on the other. A wrong turn, a casual stroll, or a few steps in the wrong direction could bring a fine, a warning, or worse, and most who wander through would never even know it happened. How can a town feel so normal and still be impossible to navigate safely? Most days, the line stays silent. Life moves on, ordinary and calm. But then it doesn't. A patrol car slows, a question is asked. A camera swivels toward a street that felt invisible yesterday. In that instant, the line stops being imaginary. A casual step now carries weight. A familiar home suddenly feels under watch. Residents who have lived here for years learn quickly. The border only matters when someone decides it does. Fear drops like a stone. Routine becomes risk. The same peaceful road transforms into a place of quiet tension. No fences rise, no alarms sound, but one step over, one miscalculation, and a life can shift. A warning, a fine, or worse. The invisible line has spoken. A single step, a casual turn, or even standing in the wrong spot, and suddenly you're breaking the law. In Darby Line, the border isn't just a line on a map, it can dictate your freedom. Residents have learned this the hard way. One moment, they wave to a neighbor or take a photo of their street. The next, a border officer is at their door. Cameras record every move. Rocks mark every inch. Signs warn that a misstep could cost thousands in fines or even jail. Imagine walking your child to school and suddenly becoming a trespasser in your own yard. The rules are invisible but strictly enforced. Life here is a constant, careful dance around a line the rest of the world barely notices. And every day, people wonder, how far can you step before it's too far? How did a town end up split between two countries? The answer is anything but simple. In 1771, surveyors were sent to draw the border along the 45th parallel, a line meant to separate what would become the United States from Canada. But the rugged, mountainous terrain made the task nearly impossible. Some say the surveyors were drunk. The truth is probably human error combined with primitive tools. By 1791, when Vermont joined the Union, the border was already off by miles in some areas, leaving towns like Darby Line caught in limbo. Later, the Webster-Ashburton Treaty of 1842 tried to fix it, but buildings, roads, and lives were already straddling the line. What was meant to be a simple boundary became a permanent puzzle. Every street, every house, even some schools and libraries still tell the story of a border drawn by mistakes. Mistakes that continue to decide who belongs and who breaks the law today. At the heart of Darby Line stands a building that should not exist, the Haskell Free Library and Opera House. Built in 1904, it was intentionally placed right on the border, a symbol of friendship between the United States and Canada. Step through the front doors, and you're in Vermont. Cross the Opera House stage, and you're in Canada. The library shelves lie entirely in Canada, while the main entrance sits in the US. Technically, you can cross this international boundary without customs, but only if you follow strict rules. It's one of the few places in the world where two nations coexist under a single roof. And yet, it's not just a tourist curiosity. Plays are performed, books are borrowed, and meetings happen here every day. Every step inside is a reminder. In this town, history, law, and human ingenuity collide in ways that can quietly change your world. How does life continue normally when a single step can move you between countries? Life in Derby Line isn't just about quirky buildings or invisible lines on streets. It's about navigating a world where a single morning can send you across an international border multiple times. Locals commuting to work, school, or errands often flash passports or check in with border officials. Kids walk to schools that are technically in another country. Neighbors wave across invisible lines. Deliveries must be carefully coordinated. Some families live in homes split between nations. The kitchen in Vermont, the living room in Canada. Phones switch networks depending on which side of the border you stand. And even emergency services must coordinate across two countries. It sounds chaotic, but it has shaped a unique community. Neighbors are close, rules are learned fast, and mutual respect runs deep. Yet every step is a reminder. In Derby Line, a morning as simple as making breakfast or taking a walk can be a border crossing, with consequences you might never expect. For decades, life in Derby Line flowed freely across invisible boundaries. Neighbors visited, kids played, libraries and businesses served both nations without a thought. Then came September 11th, 2001. Overnight, everything changed. Security tightened, casual crossings vanished. A morning stroll to a friend's house, a quick trip for groceries, or a visit to the library now required ID checks, careful planning, and sometimes long waits at checkpoints. Even emergencies became complicated. Work, school, or healthcare now demanded proof to cross. The fluid, shared community that had lasted for generations was suddenly divided by rules and scrutiny. Every step, even across your own street, could bring delay, questioning, or worse. Life on the border could no longer be taken for granted. And for a town that had existed as a living symbol of cooperation, one question now haunted everyone. How do you live normally when the border watches your every move? It's hard to believe a single street, or even a house, can exist in two countries at once. Yet Derby Line proves borders aren't always simple lines on a map. The reason this continues goes back centuries. In the late 1700s, surveyors struggled with rugged terrain, dense forests, and primitive tools. Mistakes shifted the line by miles in some areas. Later treaties tried to correct it, but by then, towns like Derby Line were already settled. Families, businesses, and roads straddled the invisible border. Fixing it now would mean uprooting lives, demolishing homes, and redrawing legal jurisdictions, an impossible task. The line isn't just a boundary, it's woven into the rhythms of daily life, into homes, into identities. What started as a mistake is now permanent, and that permanence carries a weight every resident feels. How do you live normally when your life is literally split between two nations? You might think Derby Line is unique, but it's not. Around the world, dozens of towns sit on international borders, each with strange rules and daily challenges. In Europe, streets along the Belgium-Netherlands border divide neighbors into different nations, yet they share schools, shops, and festivals. In Asia, villages on the China-Vietnam border see rice fields and roads split by two jurisdictions. Even closer to home, other towns along the US-Canada border tell similar stories. What makes these places remarkable isn't the line on the map. It's how people adapt, navigate, and normalize the extraordinary, turning geographic quirks into everyday life. Borders are human constructs, flexible in imagination, rigid on paper, and yet, you can't help but wonder, what would happen if you lived your whole life on one? As you step back onto the quiet streets of Derby Line, the reality of this town hits differently. Every sidewalk, every house, every corner tells a story of compromise, connection, and resilience. The town is divided by law, yet united by life. Children play across invisible lines. Neighbors wave. Families navigate a daily reality most of us could barely imagine. In Derby Line, the border isn't a barrier. It's a reminder of how fragile yet enduring human communities can be. The road winds past the library, the opera house, and homes split between two nations. Ordinary life continues, quietly extraordinary. And as the miles stretch ahead, one question lingers long after the walk ends. Derby Line, Vermont isn't just a town on a map. It's a living lesson in history, borders, and human resilience. Every building, every street, every routine reminds us that life doesn't always fit neatly into lines drawn on paper. Children play along invisible divides. Neighbors wave across borders. Connection thrives, even in the most unusual circumstances. If this glimpse into a town split between two countries fascinated you, don't stop here. Subscribe to Story Ground for more incredible stories from places you've never imagined. Share this video with friends who love the bizarre and beautiful corners of the world. And leave a comment telling us, what would you do if your home existed in two countries at once? Derby Line may be just one town, but it's proof that the world is full of surprises waiting for you to explore.